Welcome to Watabaruku, bilingual advanced Toastmasters Club, where you will push your limits and learn to grow beyond the basics. My name is Kevin Kimbio, and I am honored to be your club president. Now, this evening in Nairobi, where I am, at least it rained, caught me by surprise, like probably some of you who were also caught by surprise. But then again, it feels a little bit hot, so it's kind of confusing. But somebody just mentioned to me that in Nairobi, when it rains, you never look at the weather. You look at the traffic just to see how late or how early you're going to get to wherever you're heading to. But just like you, hopefully, are not navigating the flooded roads, the surprise fare hikes, the traffic snarl-ups, this evening, I can assure you, we will be navigating well-prepared speeches, impromptu sessions, and growth with style. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to keep this boat of Watabaruku floating, I am assisted by a very able exco. And allow me just to introduce them so that they can tell us how they are navigating their Toastmasters journey, how they are navigating challenges in their Toastmasters journey. To start us off, I have the privilege of welcoming none other than our Vice President for Education, who also doubles up as District 114 Director, Robert Karanja. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Great pleasure to be here this evening. I think the thing that helps me navigate my Toastmasters journey is knowing that I'm about to be sent on leave for 2 years by force. So I'm looking forward to that at the end of my term as district director. So that keeps me motivated every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service, District Director. Forwards and onwards, I would like to welcome our Vice President for Public Relations, Kevin Rubia. Tell us, how are you navigating challenges in your Toastmasters journey? And just say hi to everyone.
Hi to everyone. I navigate my Toastmasters journey with a smile. I may be crying inside, but you won't get to see it unless you hear my speeches. Back to you.
Absolutely amazing. Resilience is what we are made of. Allow me also to take note of area leadership present with us today from our own particular area, none other than the area director, Maggy Waithiru. Maggy Waithiru, over to you just to say hi and tell us how you are navigating challenges in your Toastmasters journey.
Hi. I don't know. Thank you.
Well, I think we all have our own different styles. Happy-go-lucky, I think, Maggie. Happy-go-lucky. Thank you very much, AD. At this point, allow me to welcome our SAA just to give us our meeting rules to set the tone for our meeting. Over to you, SAA.
Much obliged, Mr. President. Here is our meeting etiquette. The meeting will be recorded for members to be able to critique their own online performance and that of others. Please have your video on at all times if possible. That gives an audience to the speakers on the virtual stage. Please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. Ensure also that you have a quiet and non-distracting background. And rename yourself as follows. If you are a role taker, start with #role followed by your name. If you are a Toastmaster without a role, please start with your name followed by your club, such as Princess Eguchi Sema. Welcome, Princess. And if you're a guest, that is, you're new to Toastmasters, please start with guest followed by an underscore and your name. All in all, enjoy yourself. We are here to have fun, to laugh, and to be jocular. Back to you, our president.
Thank you so much, SAA, for your service. And indeed, we are here to have fun. We are here to enjoy. We are here to learn as we enjoy ourselves. It is indeed the rainy season in Nairobi, and our participants list today is flooded with guests. Allow me just to invite a few guests to tell us where they're joining us from and what you are looking forward to in our today's meeting. To start us off, and in alphabetical order, I will invite Anjeru from Simba. Over to you, Anjeru. I think we have lost Anjeru. Okay. I will pass this opportunity to Frida Njeru. Over to you, Frida Njeru, and tell us probably if you two are sisters, you share a name. Oh, sorry. Okay. And Njeru seems like the Njerus are having a technical problem. But good to see you all the same. Good to hear that you can hear us and that you are joining us virtually. Okay. Winfred Kinyua from Almasi Toastmasters Club. The opportunity comes to you.
A very good evening to all of us. I'm delighted to be in this meeting. First time in Watabaruku, because I had to ask, are we delivering in Swahili or English? Because Swahili would be a challenge. But I'm delighted all the same to be part of this meeting. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Winfred Kinyua, definitely we in Watabaruku pride ourselves for not only being an advanced speakers club, but also for being the premier bilingual Toastmasters club in District 114. In Watabaruku, you will hear speeches being delivered in Kiswahili and in English, but definitely all our club business is done in English. So stick on and enjoy the ride. No surprises coming your way this evening. Okay, our next guest is our very good guest, George Mora from Anchored Toastmasters. Over to you, George.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is George Gizecha from Anchored Toastmasters, and it's my great pleasure to join you. I always look forward to joining you during your meetings, and probably the main thing that attracted me to this club is the way you give like 3 evaluations for the same speech, and also that you also do it sometimes in Kiswahili, and that is what attracted me here. I am also the VPPR for our club, and we meet every second and fourth Friday of the month at Luza Plaza from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. You're welcome. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, George. We always look forward to having you with us, and we're also looking forward to having you as a member of Watabaruku Toastmasters Club in the future. You are so welcome. Definitely, as George has mentioned, at Watabaruku, we pride ourselves to being an advanced speakers club. And one of the key values that we offer you here is that all your speeches will be given 3 impactful evaluations. That is, you'll receive an evaluation for your content, your delivery will be evaluated, and your language also will receive a very in-depth evaluation. And you are going to see all this excellence this evening. Okay. Princess Eguchi from SEMA, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It's a great pleasure for me to be here at Watabaruku today. I am from SEMA Toastmasters Club, and I am the Vice President of Education. As you know, SEMA is one of the clubs that the district director belongs to. So I'm here first to experience the Watabaruku vibe, the advanced Toastmasters Club. I've never been in one, so it's my first time. And most importantly, to cheer on my SEMA members, Anthony Wang'ondu, Maxwell, Gichuhi, and of course, District Director Robert Karanja. I look forward to a great experience. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Princess Eguchi. You are guaranteed an amazing experience. You're about to be exposed to 2 hours of unparalleled excellence. Definitely, we also thank you for donating your members to our club meeting this evening, and we are looking forward to hearing from them. All right, forwards and onwards, ladies and gentlemen, John C. Maxwell, a leadership author, has authored so many books, and one of the quotes that he is credited to is that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And speaking about leaders who don't just follow the path, but pave new ones, let us talk about Maggy Waithiru. As the Area 13 director, she is not just leading, she is trailblazing. A proud member of Mtandao Toastmasters Club, Watabaruku Toastmasters Club, she has now delivered a brand new baby, Runda Elite Toastmasters Club. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is not just about building speeches. She is also building clubs. And while some are climbing hills, Maggy is summiting the DTM mountain. Congratulations, Maggy. And for her, this is just not another goal. It is just another milestone in her never-ending adventure in Toastmasters. In the year 2024-2025, Toastmasters year, she has brought unmatched energy, keeping the online clubs in Area 13 afloat. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to switch on your cameras, switch on your microphones, show your bright smiles, and join me as we give a thunderous applause to welcome our Toastmaster of today evening, the amazing Maggy Waithiru. Maggy Waithiru, over to you.
I'm glad I did not give you anything to say about me, because then how else would I have blushed this evening? Thank you very much. Our amazing, I love the fact that he uses amazing, it's his word. We should always be calling it amazing Kimbio. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. When you saw the theme of today, rules of humor, what came to mind, people? I'm so curious, and I will be looking out for your comments in the chat box to know, when you heard rules of humor, what did you think you were going to get tonight? Before I introduce the theme, I will quickly walk you through the roles, or rather the program. You have been sent the agenda is in the chat box. Yes, I saw it there. If you haven't seen it, it's your choice. The meeting is divided into very many parts when it comes to Watabaruku. You have prepared speeches, then you have table topics, and you have a joke master session, which is almost like a break. Do not go anywhere. It means you stay here, you listen to the jokes. It doesn't mean you go and then the joke master is delivering jokes to himself. We have evaluations. This is where, for us, it is the cherry on top. As you have heard Mwaura say, the way evaluations are done in Watabaruku, if you see anybody else doing it, it's because they copied it from us. We are the trailblazers. Well done, team. You will also hear the evaluations, as I said, and you, maybe if you're here long enough, you will listen to the business session. But of course, where are you going? It's evening. You can just stay with us and follow the theme and also the speeches. To be honest, I don't even know why I chose this theme. For starters, I, Ms. Maggy Waithiru, I do not claim to be funny. So do not come here expecting to be laughing today. But hopefully our speakers will do better than me and do what they thought I was going to talk about, which is not what I was going to talk about, which is funny. Why did I choose rules of humor? Our public relations vice president, Kevin Rubia, sent me a list this long of themes to pick from. That's putting me in a box. And as you've heard Kimbio say, I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of person. So I just flipped through. The reason I'm not an engineer or a doctor, I just glanced through the list and I was like, humorously speaking, did I read the manual? No, I didn't. But it gave me an idea of what to talk about. Humor. And why humor? First, let's understand what is humor. As a coach, I have learned that you always have to be sure what things mean, because what something means to me may not be what it means to you. According to the website or Google, definition of humor is the quality of being amusing or comical, especially as expressed in literature or speech. Your jocular nature is what may help you connect with people in future. But I have a disclosure, other than the fact that I did not read the manual today. I am not funny. And I hope the speakers today are funny to kind of fill that gap. But do we need humor really? Don't you think humor is overrated? Well, think of a Swiss knife and then read this from Matt Abrahams. He is from Stanford University, which is an Ivy League university. Of course, I have to pretend that I know these people. I don't. Humor is like a Swiss Army knife. It allows you to connect with your audience. It can diffuse tension, elevate status. You can ask Trevor Noah, compel others to your point of view, and help your message stand out. There's a gentleman I like listening to. His name is Robin Banks, and he likes to joke and say he does not rob banks, but his name sounds like Robin Banks. He's from South Africa. It also helps you to show your sense of humor. If you show your sense of humor to your peers and your friends, their attitude towards you and their perceptions will change. First, you will look very confident, and somehow you might kind of look like you know what you're talking about. But there are also some terms and conditions of humor, which this lady, I'm curious to know who knows this lady. Just unmute and tell me if you know who she is.
She's the reigning world champion of public speaking.
Yes, who was that?
I've met her in person, by the way.
Yes,
I've met her in person and shaken her hand.
Yes. Oh, lovely. I also met her. I had the honor of meeting her last year, Luis Montalvo. Luis Montalvo does not 100% agree with the rules or the terms and conditions of humor. She broke them during the World Championship competition last year, and she emerged the winner. Do not try Luisa's moves unless you're sure you might win, or unless you have a way to connect with dogs, you might be able to connect with humans. I will tell you more about humor in a few minutes, but for now, let's hear a bit from our role takers. I will start with the tag team. TGG team. In Watabaruku, they have to do things differently. We come from meetings where we say tag, 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 and then they remove the A. Now we have to say TGG. It sounds like a brand. The TGG is the timer, the grammarian, and the general evaluator. Our timer is Laison. Laiser. Hey, when I first saw this name, I did not ask any of these speakers today or role takers any questions. I decided I would just happy-go-lucky wing it. When I first saw this name, Laiser, I was like, huh? Is this a brand name? Is it the business name? I don't know. Then he showed up, and first I didn't see his video. I just listened to him speaking. I was like, I wonder where he's from. And then I saw you. You surprised me in very many ways, but in a positive way. Over to you to tell us about your role today.
Thank you, Madam Tiamodi. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a timer, my main role and responsibility is to keep time of all segments of the meeting. And this evening, as outlined by our TMOD, we shall have 3 sessions as well with some additions of some few intermediaries. For the prepared speeches, tonight we have 2 speakers. Each speaker will be using 5 to 7 minutes. In case of any corrections, then I shall touch base with the SAA. For the prepared speakers, I'll show the green, yellow, and red cards in the following order. So at 5 minutes, I'll showcase the green card. At 6 minutes, I'll showcase a yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I'll showcase a red card. In the table topic sessions, the speakers will have 1 to 2 minutes. I shall showcase a green card at 1 minute, a yellow card at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and a red card at 2 minutes. And for the evaluation sessions, as outlined earlier, we're going to have multiple evaluations. For the first 2 evaluations, the evaluators will have 2 to 3 minutes. And for the last evaluation, the evaluators will have 1 to 2 minutes. I will share my reports when called upon. Back to you, Madam Tiamodi.
Excellent. If you go over time, Please do not say you did not see the timer. I have done that, but honestly, I was just being naughty. I had not prepared very well. Our next role taker is Samson, who is our grammarian, and we chose him to be a grammarian for obvious reasons. Number one, he's a lawyer. Number two, he's Luo. Number three, the list goes on. And when I first listened to Samson, I was like, hey, this guy. When he first looks at the dictionary before he goes to the meeting, the words he just offloaded in a meeting that I had attended, I believe it was a SEMA meeting or Kwanzaa Kenya. So when the other day I told Kevin, the two Kevins, let's look for Samson to become our grammarian. And here he is. Thank you, Samson, for honoring us. Over to you.
In the role as grammarian, my role is threefold today. And primarily, my job is to make sure that you employ good grammar towards the enhancement of your speech. So I'll be looking out for rhetorical devices, and this will range from words, or rather devices such as alliterations, metaphors, idioms, and things that give flourish to your language and make you memorable and make your speech memorable. My second role would be to look out for the improper use of the English language. For the purposes of today's meeting, I've identified 5 categories that I'll be looking out for, which include the poor use of the plural and the singular, the poor word arrangement in terms of subject-verb order. I'll be looking out at the use of the active versus the passive voice and how that was used effectively. I'll be looking out for misplaced modifiers, which are normally adjectives and adverbs. And I'll also be looking out for the wrong use of conjunctions and prepositions. My third role will be introducing the word of the day. And I do apologize. I'm so sorry. I think I was a bit frazzled. Is my screen sharing? Anybody?
Not yet. Not yet.
Waithiru, just give me a second. I do apologize. I'm normally more prepared than this, but I had a bit of a day today.
Mercury.
Is it there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic. So the word of the day today is jocular. A bit of an uncommon word, but I hope it's a word that we'll be able to use easily and in tandem with the word of the day, with the theme of the day. And it's an adjective that means funny or intended to make someone laugh. You could speak of a jocular comment. You can say that her speech was awash with jocular commentary. You can also use it to describe somebody and the state that they may be in. So Michael was in a very jocular mood. He was informal, familiar, and jocular. The word can also be used as an adverb, which is jocularly, or it can be used as a noun, which means jocularity. I'll also be throwing a spanner in the works today by introducing a phrase of the day, since we've heard all about Watabaruku being an advanced club. So let's put this to the test. And the phrase for today is to stretch the truth. I shall post it on the comment section because of time. And it basically means to exaggerate, not exactly tell the truth, usually for the purposes of effect, or perhaps sometimes in the context of trying to console someone. So look out for the full explanation for it in the chat group. At the end of the day, I will give a report. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
If you were here earlier when I was talking about Mercury retrograde, I think you now see what I meant. We now know if Samson is a bachelor that we should be looking for. What are they called? Yeah, those bachelors or not. Mr. Rubia, I kindly request that when you're uploading the video, you kindly remove that section that has Mark O'Doull's retirement plan. Now we also know why we are all struggling with life, because Mercury is doing its thing. The next role taker is our general evaluator. It would be good to know what the general evaluation role is all about. This is being run by Anthony Wang'ondu, who is one of the people who made me join Toastmasters. I listened to you read a book. I don't know what manual you were following, and you came and read the book with such eloquence. I was like, when I grow up, I just might sound like Anthony. I still haven't grown up. Over to you.
Thank you, Wenaki. The book was 1,000 Splendid Suns, if you remember it. Great. Thank you. I hope today my role as general evaluator is one that I cannot afford to be jocular about. I will try my very best not to stretch the truth when I give my report towards the end of the meeting. But if I can just enumerate what it needs, what the purpose of the role is. I will be looking at everything that takes place throughout the meeting. I will take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen and evaluate each participant on the program for examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties, including those ones who are affected by Mercury retrograde. At the end of the meeting, when called upon by the Toastmaster of the day, I will give my report. Back to you, Mehaki.
Thank you very much, DTM Anthony. Now to the moment we've all been waiting for, the speeches that these wonderful speakers have had or have taken time to prepare. We have a speech from Maxwell, Gichuhi, and from Robert Karanja, DTM. Maxwell's speech is going to be introduced by his content evaluator, Nellie Ayodo. Nellie, when I first met you, I was like, oh my God, she is the most gentle person, yet very firm. It's not often that you can get those two right. Be gentle and be firm. Be gentle and be firm. Most of the times the firm people are like, yes, but Nellie is super gentle. Over to you, Nellie, to introduce Maxwell's speech.
Excuse me, Maggie. Could you give me a minute? Just give me a minute, power.
At you shower.
Maggie?
Yes?
Yeah?
We give you a minute.
Give me a minute. I'm in a foreign land. Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Just one, right?
60 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, I hope you're not stretching the truth over there. All right. When you're ready, let us know, then Nellie will introduce your speech. As I tell these wonderful members of the audience, a rule that I learned about jokes, or not jokes to be precise. I said it's not a joking session. It's not, otherwise everybody will go over the board with their jokes. When we get to know our audience, which is one of the first rules of humor, you must know the audience and you must respect boundaries. What does that mean, you might wonder? It's very easy to go wrong when you talk about religion, when you talk about politics. In fact, these days, even when you talk about marriage, you might go wrong because there are people who feel very strongly about it. What works for one group may not work for another. In a setting like this, in Toastmasters International, international is the key word. You'll meet people from all walks of life, different political affiliations, perhaps even gender. However, it is important to always remember that unless you're Louise Montalvo, who used religion at the world stage and got away with it when she said, I met with my God. I call him my God because I don't want to offend anyone. I want to offend everyone. And the whole room burst into laughter. You try that and you might be thrown out of Toastmasters. Please just be aware of who is your audience. However, in the interest of time, and we don't know what Maxwell is doing with Mercury, I would recommend that we move to the next speaker, who is DTM Robert Karanja, delivering his icebreaker. I was so happy when I saw that. The first time I interacted very well with DTM Robert was when he was the PQD. I was so happy to then meet him physically. I walk into VMX and I'm like, oh, Robert's reaction. Hi, Maggie. Like super serious. I'm like, yo, okay. So I'm really happy to hear who this Robert guy is. He's been fun to interact with after that very serious handshake. And I would like to know you a bit more. We want to hear about his speech from Winfred Kinyua. I can see she's so happy and ready. Over to you, Winfred.
Madam TMOD, you have a very natural, jocular approach and appeal in your speech. So without further ado, I am delighted to be evaluating one DTM Robert Karanja. When I was given this assignment, I was keen to know which pathway this was. But I was surprised to know this is his 7th pathway. And you're a real trailblazer, Mr. Robert Karanja. And I'll be delighted to be your content evaluator. The purpose of your speech today is to deliver an icebreaker. Introduce yourself for the 7th time to us. We'd love to know more about you. Also, just to listen out and hear if you have the basic structure in your speech. I'm definitely aware that this is your 7th time and I know you will ace it. Without further ado, help me welcome DTM Robert Karanja, Pursuit of an Ending. Pursuit of an Ending, Robert Karanja.
In October last year, after I relocated to Addis Ababa from Nairobi, I completed my first 10K run. After that run, someone asked me what I had been listening to as I ran, and I told them I had been listening to an audio book. They looked at me like I'm one of those weirdos who eats the crust of a sandwich and leaves the inside parts. But I get it. It is quite strange. I understand, though, how I became the kind of person who listens to audiobooks rather than music while working out. Before that, 26 years before that, when I was in high school in Starehe Boys Center, rather than playing sports like the other kids, I preferred the quiet of the library. One evening, I came across a mysterious book. It did not have a cover, and the last part of it was missing. I should have known better, but I decided to read it anyway, and it ended up to be one of the most captivating books I have ever read. But the ending was missing. And I spent years in pursuit of a copy of that book in order to read that ending. But because I didn't know an author or the title of the book, it was an impossible task. However, in the search for that book, I came across other authors that I came to love. I came to love Stephen King when I was in college in USIU doing my undergrad. I came to love C.S. Lewis when I graduated. And I came to love Fyodor Dostoevsky when I started my software business. However, that mysterious book continued to elude me. I really wanted to read that ending. At some point, though, a Toastmaster pointed me in the right direction without knowing it. You see, around the time I joined Toastmasters, I had gotten married, and also I had gone back to USIU to complete my master's in finance so that I could pivot into financial analysis. Because of my focus on academics, most of the time I focused on financial books and also nonfiction books. However, this Toastmaster, who was also a mentor of mine, told me, why don't you think about listening to some fictional audiobooks that might help your storytelling and your public speaking? I took that advice. The first audiobook I downloaded was The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. I listened to it while I drove from Nairobi to Nakuru while visiting Toastmasters clubs as an area director. It was transformational. When the book ended, I wanted more. At that point, I remembered that mysterious book from my high school days. I remembered it was about a place called Midkemia, and so I typed for that term in Audible. The first book that came up was called The Magician by Raymond E. Feist. Within minutes, I knew it. It was the one. It was the book that I had been looking for 20 years. And it was the first book in a series of 34 books that was called the Rift War Saga. I devoured these books as I went towards the ending that I had been waiting for so long. And that book became my companion through my journey in Toastmasters. through my club meetings, through leadership roles. When I got elected as the program quality director, and then later the district director, those books taught me how to connect with an audience through storytelling. Back in October, when I did that 10K run, back in October when I did the 10K run, back in October, when I did that 10K run, I was towards the end of that series of books. I had listened to almost 600 hours of that book, and the ending was worth the long wait. But however, I also realized a more important thing. Rather than the ending, what I enjoyed the most was the journey that got me to that point in time. And so right now, as I wait to turn 41 in a few weeks, whenever I listen to The Magician, while I work out, while I run on the treadmill, while I lift weights, I can still feel young and inspired as I did back in my high school days. And in the end, pursuing our passions is the thing that helps us feel young, no matter how weird other people might feel it is. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Well done. Wow. If someone had told me to bet my last coin that Robert can listen to audiobooks rather than read them, I'm like, that guy kind of looks like a chop. And he really did confirm he's a chop. What does a chop mean? For those who don't understand, chops are what we call like the super sharp guys who end up in starehe. If you're not Kenyan, I will tell you what starehe is all about. You don't make it to starehe just by brains alone. It requires a lot of resilience and dedication and discipline. Well done, Namulenge Ju. Our next speaker is Maxwell. Before we do that, we have a special thing. I forgot to tell you guys. Did I tell you Watabaruku is not like any club you've been? We require or we request you to kindly give feedback to a speaker immediately they give a speech. It's almost like what we do in physical clubs where you tear the paper, but sometimes people don't tear the paper, they say nothing and you don't get feedback. Please give feedback, be honest, be candid. That's what it means, right? Do not stretch the truth. This is a moment of truth. Let the person know how he could do better, what he did well, and what you want to hear him tell you again and again. And as he does that, I will also ask Maxwell to tell us if he is now ready to speak, if he has won his Sunday best.
I was born ready, Maggie. I just wanted to get a prop. But I realized the person who had promised to bring the prop was very jocular. What he said was not what he meant. That's why I had to disappear for a second.
All right, I'm glad you're ready. And before I introduce our speaker and our content evaluator, I will let you all to continue giving feedback. We have a few more minutes, a few more seconds, and then I'll tell you, as I tell you, another rule of humor. Who thinks here they are funny, by the way? Do you think you're funny? Samson thinks he's funny. Yeah, kind of, you have your moments. Who thinks they have a good sense of humor? Yeah, Samson, you better believe in yourself, right? Absolutely. You never know what your retirement plan is going to be. When you use humor, we are told we should use it to enhance our speech, not to distract. You don't have to be rolling on the floor like my cat does or jumping over seats for people to understand or to get the joke. It should be just enough. I think there's a piece of clothing that is described like that, which I will not talk about in case, also because this video is going to end up on the internet. Last year, I had the honor of attending the international convention in California, which means I listened to very many speeches, and I also had the honor of listening to all the 7 speeches that made it to the finals. One of the speeches was delivered by Fauzi, who some of you may have interacted with. Fauzi is super funny. And when he's cracking a joke, you can't even see it on his face. However, his way of delivering jokes requires a lot of body language. And he was on the floor, literally flat on the floor. As a result, we are all cracking up, we're laughing. We're laughing so much that he could not continue with his speech. As a result, he went out of time and was disqualified. So do not let people disqualify your speech because you overdo the humor. And now I wonder, is Nellie ready to tell us about the next speech?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I will be evaluating Maxwell Gichuhi. He is attempting understanding emotional intelligence from the pathway of motivational strategies. The purpose of the project is for Maxwell to cultivate an understanding of how his emotions impact relationships. It is also designed to help Maxwell identify how others' emotions impact his emotional state. The purpose of this speech is for Maxwell to share some aspect of his experience journaling emotions or being aware of emotions when interacting with others. His speech title is Emotions on the Loose. Maxwell Gichuhi, Emotions on the Loose.
I think he's having network challenges.
Kimbio, could you just call him on the line?
Definitely. Let me reach out to him. Just
okay. All right. Another rule that in terms of humor, by the way, I'm a little bit disturbed. I'm disturbed by all the things that Samson said he's going to be looking out for. I hope, Samson, you're going to spare me a little bit and just be a little bit kind, because I realized the other day, the term is district focus. I'm just from over here, Kiambu, and English is really not my first. It's not even my second language. All right. Your humor needs to be authentic. What does it mean to be authentic? Have you ever seen somebody try to deliver something humorous and they look like they're in a straight jacket? Whatever they're saying might be funny, but because they're delivering in the driest and almost scary way, they look scared of the joke. You almost can't get the joke because they're not being authentic. I say I'm not the type of person you'll tell a joke and then I retell the joke. It falls flat. I think we should just allow ourselves to be who we are. Be authentic. If you're funny, you're funny. If you're not funny, nobody ever died for listening to someone who's not funny. They may die of boredom at that moment, but then they'll wake up. And I believe I'm one of those. I don't try to be funny. I just try to be me. Sometimes I kind of behave funny, sometimes not, as long as I'm authentic. And honestly, if you're authentic, just being yourself is funny enough. If somebody has never told you that, I'm the first person to tell you, you are funny. You have a sense of humor. Just say that with me. I have a sense of humor. I don't hear you.
I have a sense of humor.
I have a sense of humor.
I have a sense of humor.
Yes. Believe it. Fake it till you make it. One day you might just have a sense of humor. Sure. He's not back. I'm going to run out of things to say. All right. I want to share with you something that I learned. Sometimes I look for useless facts. I learned, and I'll share with you the PowerPoint presentation. We really didn't read, don't worry, Samson's retirement plan. And maybe it wasn't even his retirement plan, but let's pretend that was his retirement plan. Did you know, if you're asking what's the deal of humor, what's humor got to do with it? Why do we even need it? It can be your retirement plan. Imagine that. According to the numbers.com, on the world leading stars for comedy. In fact, I think you should take a screenshot of this. Every time you think you want to retire and you want to, I don't know what people do when they retire. When I retired, in quotes, I decided to be a nutrition and wellness coach. I don't know what people decide to do when they retire. You can try and be funny. Look at how much money people are making. $3.9 billion just for being funny, just for being in a comedy. Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, Ben Stiller, and many others. Then I was like, where are the women? I was so happy when I saw Kate McKinnon, I don't know her, and Margot Robbie. I don't know why anybody would call their child that. But that's them. The parents knew better and gave her that beautiful name. So you can retire and be funny. Do we have Maxwell back in the house?
Yes, we do.
Yes, Maggie, I'm here.
Yes, I was going to say it's one thing to have Maxwell back in the house. Can he speak? We remember the purpose of the speech. Timer, you
yes.
might have to reset. Over to you to reset and to start. Over to you, Maxwell.
Have you ever been in that situation where you are at a peaceful position, cool, calm, and collected? Then in one moment, things turn haywire. 1 minute, you are very joyful, excited, and elated. The next minute, you are in distress, you are depressed, and you're disgusted. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guests, for all of us, you probably could point to one particular moment when before a nanosecond, you were on this side of the scale, peaceful, excited, elated, and then after, you're on this side of the scale. Well, allow me to give two experiences just to explain my journey on channeling my emotional intelligence. 2 years ago, I had been invited to be the keynote speaker for this particular international conference. Now, this is once in a lifetime dream. You know, the ones that you rarely get. And when it does, it comes with prominence and a big fat check. Now, I was beside myself, elated and excited. I prepared for the event. On that particular day, I woke up early. In fact, by 5:30 a.m., I was in my office, practicing and rehearsing every word, every gesture, and every pose. You see, it had to be delivered perfectly. By 9 a.m., I was a bit tired, and I decided to take a stretch and walk outside my office. As I crossed the street, I realized because of the rains that had been there the night before, there were puddles of water all around. As I was walking, my mind was in the sky, thinking about my delivery and the standing ovation when something happened. Someone tripped me, and I fell like a bag of 100 kilos of cement being thrown off a truck. Thud and splash were the two things people around me had. In a moment, I moved from joy to disappointment, to anger, to full-blown rage. Who the heck did this to me? I stood up quickly and I whirled around to see the culprit. And there stood an elderly man, 5'6", gray hair, brown suit, looking a bit confused and solemn. He asked me, "Young man, did I trip you?" I was about to respond when I realized something. On my right side, there was a blind man's cane. The gentleman was blind. I apologized profusely, took the cane and put it in his hand. And I said, I'm okay. He said, young man, are you sure you're okay? I said, yes, sir, I'm okay. And I actually decided to guide him around the paddles. And as we walked, we got to bond. He was a very witty gentleman, full of wisdom and adroit in his field of actually public speaking. We ended up laughing as we chatted. You would have thought we were friends for 10 years. By the time we parted, I was so joyful, I'd forgotten that my white shirt was stained, my suit was wet, and I had an event in a few minutes. Luckily, I was too joyful to be kicked out of that pedestal. I rushed to the laundry. I always have a spare suit ready, as every good speaker should. And I got it, and I was there, and I started my speech with that introduction. The second incident, this particular evening, my wife came and she said, I would like us to talk something. And I say, speak, for your husband's ears are open. I sat on the sofa as she shared. I had noticed that of late something was stressing her mind. I could see the weariness in her eyes, and I could feel that tiredness in her voice. And she continued to pour and pour her heart. And there I was, a gentleman of great distinguish. And I listened to them and I realized I could actually solve them. And I used my brilliant mind to give a solution, one after the other, until she sighed and said, I didn't want you solving my issues. I just wanted you to lend me your ear. Ouch. It was equivalent to that fall on that puddle of water. I realized what she wanted was not for me to give solutions or just listen with my ear, but be active in listening, which means listen with your ears, listen with your eyes, and most importantly, listen with your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, I have learned emotional intelligence, not from a book or YouTube channel, but from these two examples and many others. Ladies and gentlemen, someone said, to know yourself is wisdom. To know your neighbor is intelligence. The best way to build your relationship, to become a leader who inspires and impact, is to understand emotional intelligence. Now, don't get me wrong. We cannot dictate when things happen. But the one thing I can tell you is in your control, is to act, or how you respond is within your power. Man is not a creature of circumstances, but rather circumstances are the creations of man. That means if it happens when it happens, you might not be in control of what happens. I was not in control when I was falling like a sack of potatoes. But I had the control to decide how to react and to respond. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a quote that sums my learning. And it's such a stupendous quote that I would like to get it verbatim. This quote sums profoundly what we've shared tonight. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response is the power, in our response lies our growth, our freedom, and our peace. Ladies and gentlemen, in every instant, remember there is a space, and in that space is your power. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow. They grew up so fast, eh? I think we joined Toastmasters the same time with Maxwell, around the same time. And do not ever give at that point.
Yes, we did.
Do not let Maxwell deliver a prepared speech. He would black out, and instead he always, woo, wanted to deliver table topics. I hope you do deliver table topics. That was a fantastic speech reminding us to always have a suit ready. Because do you have a suit ready for TCON, the people who are going to be contestants? And the last quote, which I will summarize as our SAA shares the feedback form online, is I will summarize it and say between stimulus and response, there's a space, and therein is where we choose our response. We are told respond, not react. Thank you very much, Maxwell. As we do we give our feedback, not to do our feedback, and then Mark O'Dwell is going to say, I say to do feedback. I did not say do feedback. As you give your feedback, I will share another thing that I learned about humor. This one, actually, I made it up myself. Have you heard people say, I don't do small talk? Who here does not do small talk? Just be honest. It's okay. I'll celebrate you. Aha. Tracy doesn't do. Who else does not do small talk? If you've lived in Nairobi or a big city like Nairobi, Nairobi is not very big. If you've lived in a city like Nairobi where there is no order on the road, you know at some point you might sleep on the road. It rains, as you heard our president say at the beginning. If it starts raining, you don't want to know whether the rain has stopped. You just need to look at the traffic and you know the rain has not stopped because it's a mess. And people can sleep on the road. Now, honestly, if you don't do small talk and we are stuck in a matatu with you, are you going to start talking to me about Bitcoins? We have to do small talk. You heard from Maxwell the kind of small talk that he had with the man who is visually impaired kind of also transformed his life. I think small talk has its space and it's also part of humor. I cannot start being serious and looking intelligent. The first time I meet people, we need to relax the body. Are we still giving feedback? Do you know how many people have responded? Who wants to guess? 0. I'm going to take note of all the people who are in the meeting room today. If you come and deliver a speech in Watabaruku, I personally will not evaluate you. Number 2, I will not give audience feedback. Now we will call the next role taker, who is one of my favorite humans, one of my favorite Toastmasters. Her name is Tiggy. I met Tiggy in Anaheim, and I was so happy that Tiggy and I were not sharing the same hotel because I don't think we would have slept. We kicked it off immediately. There was small talk and it worked magic. We have remained friends to date. Tiggy, you're leading the table topics. We are not doing marvelously with time because it's Mercury retrograde. However, we have to finish on time. I therefore ask you cut your questions by 50%. Over to you, Tiggy.
Okay, thank you. Much obliged, Madam Toastmaster of the evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It's a great pleasure for me to be your table topics master this evening. The purpose of a table topic session is for us to practice our impromptu speaking skills. And unlike the other segments during the table topics session, guests are also able to participate. And I know I'm told to keep time, but I have to tell a very quick story. Whenever I think of impromptu speaking, a story of a man called Guy Goma comes to mind, who rose to fame under the most unusual circumstances. Guy Goma applied for a job at the BBC. And while he was waiting in the lobby on the day of his interview, somebody mistook him for a technology expert who happens to have the same name. And that man was scheduled to join a live TV segment. And before he knew it, Guy Goma was ushered into the studio and found himself on live TV. And he was the first one to realize the error, and despite his initial shock, he maintained his composure and navigated through the interview as well as anybody can. And he became an internet sensation because of how well he performed. I thought I'd tell the story just to make us encouraged that we need to practice our impromptu skills because we don't know when we'll need it, right? And now it's our turn to shine. I will call on speakers at random and introduce a topic, and speakers have 2 minutes and they're encouraged to, use them fully. And remember, the word of the day is jocular, so remember to use it as well. And without further ado, I want to call the first speaker, Toastmaster Kevin Rubia. Can you hear me? You're ready.
I hope you're being jocular.
I'm not.
Okay.
I want to start with the strong Toastmaster so we can see how it's done. The topic is, if you were a comedian for a day, what would your comedy special be about?
If I were a comedian for a day, what would my comedy special be about? For those who've met me, you might have noticed that I am tall, I am dark, and I am handsome. And that will be the topic of my jocular speech. One thing, however, is that I have failed to gain weight for the past 30 plus years of my life. Some of you may be having other challenges. You have tried to lose that weight. You have prayed. You have tried some lucky charms. You have even tried the Mercury retrograde method of losing weight. Unfortunately, that hasn't been your portion. I have a solution for you, ladies and gentlemen, presenting M-Pesa Weight. M-Pesa Weight is a platform where you can send your weight to me at the click of a button. It unites people who want to lose weight and people who want to gain weight. Imagine how much we would solve through the click of a button. I will post the link in the chat later to be able to lose those kilograms that you promise yourself you're going to lose, yet it is March 21st and you've gained 3 kilograms. And I will be a proud recipient of those. That said, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy yourself, enjoy your body, enjoy who you are, as I promise you, that click of a button won't work. Back to you, our topics master.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what thinking on your feet looks like. And I'll sign up for this M-Pesa thing. We'll talk bilaterally later because I'm very interested. I want to give the second topic to a volunteer, if we have any, be it Toastmasters or guests. Do we have any courageous person? Just unmute and tell me you're ready, if you're ready to volunteer.
I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Who is that? Could I know?
Angelo. Can you allow me not to put on my video?
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you, Toastmaster Angelo, for volunteering. The second topic is, what is the funniest thing you believed as a kid that makes you laugh now?
Can you repeat the question?
What is the funniest thing you believed as a kid that makes you laugh now, in hindsight?
Wow. Growing up in the slopes of Mount Kenya, we believed that there were many giants that used to roam around outside at night. Nobody would dare to step into the darkness lest to meet with that imaginary big monster that only would come at night. As a kid, I had a broken tooth. And this tooth was because one time when I went outside, I came back running very fast. I felt very badly because for sure I had seen this monster. This monster had 3 eyes, 2 eyes at the front and 1 at the back. And the one at the back used to really shine. And I can tell you for sure I had seen it looking at me. My mother tried to beat me to come to my senses, at least to try and convince me there's nothing like that. But I had seen that giant. Nobody could convince me that this giant was not there. As we grew older, and these tales were being especially told by our grandparents, I don't know why they created fear in children. I don't know what they wanted to achieve by doing that. When I grew up and came of age, there's nothing like that. You can walk in the dark. There's nothing like that monster. I've seen someone even post the name we used to call it. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Anjeru, for that beautiful story. Mine was the different theories I've been told about how babies are made, but I'll spare you the stories. But of course, by now I know that nobody volunteered to tell me when I was younger, and I believed all the different crazy things they told me. Okay, we can move swiftly to the third topic. Any volunteers? Anyone? Okay.
Anthony's hand is up.
Oh, perfect. DTM Anthony, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, excellent. So the next topic is tell us about a time when humor helped you turn around a tough situation.
If you've lived in Nairobi, you must have had an experience with the traffic police, and especially if you're Maggy Waithiru, that is possibly a daily occurrence. You know? Meeting them at the junctions and them waving you down. There was this one time I was late for a meeting in the office. I had overslept, and I decided the best way to solve that problem was to take the bypass, the one that goes from on the current side. I don't know the name. I think it's the northern bypass. And I was really driving fast. Maggie, I won't tell you how fast I was because you won't believe me. And on that particular day was the day the speed policemen were on that road at 7:30 in the morning. And as I got towards the end of the road, at the end of the bypass, I was waved down by this lady policeman. Is that the right word? A policewoman. I stopped and I tried to explain to her why I was driving so fast and why she should forgive me. And she was adamant that that is not possible. And then I started telling her funny stories about children and why as parents we should always be very open to different ideas about time. And I had her laughing her head off in absolutely no time. And then what did she do? She told me, you know what? You better be on your way, because if you stay here a bit longer, you're going to pay a very hefty fine. It has never worked again. I've tried it many times, but it has never worked again. Back to you, Tigist.
Thank you so much, DTM Anthony. I get in trouble a lot with the traffic police in Addis, but I can tell you for free that the ones down here have zero sense of humor. Do we have time for one more, Madam
No, we don't, which is rather unfortunate because your questions are really nice.
Okay,
No, we don't.
thank
If
you.
we have time at the end, we will invite you to share with us a few more questions. Thank you very much, Tigi.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you for
jocular
your
style of
participation, everyone.
speaking, your jocular style of speaking always just tickles me and uplifts me. It's a good way to end the week, one of the Mercury weeks. There is your poll for you to kindly vote for your favorite speaker. From the giant M-Pesa weight Bitcoin amusing a policewoman, the choice is all yours. And as we do that, I will check with the SAA if our jokes master is here or is a joke on us.
Jokes on us, lol.
Jokes on us, yo. Well, it works in our favor because we are kind of behind. So I'll just go straight into the evaluations. I was going to invite somebody to tell us a joke. Actually, I'll invite somebody to tell us a joke. Wacha niangalie. Let me look who is likely to not want to tell us a joke. That's who I'm going to call. I like your name. Mukindori Kangeve. Mukindori Kangeve. Are you able to unmute? You might be a millionaire, billionaire in dollars. Going once and going once. That's it.
Hi.
Yes, he wants to be a billionaire. Tell us something funny you heard that happened to you recently or you heard recently that would just kind of help us end the week on a high. If it's Kenyan, if it's very Kenya-centric, be sure to let us know what it really means for those who are not from Kenya.
Okay. I just joined the call. Something funny I had. I think I would say I'm actually an artist. I would say, interestingly, how Amharic speaking from Amharic, someone speaking in English, she'll start normally give an explanation, then add the sentence with "that's why," as opposed to, for instance, Kenyans who will say the reason I did this is because of ABCD. Speaking from Amharic, it will be it occurred like this, ABCD, end of the sentence, and then that's why. I think that's from Amharic, speaking English from Amharic, that's the kind of orientation that people have. I thought that was a bit funny.
That is so funny. Tigi, because she's from a group of schools, she's saying that's not what Ethiopians say or do. This is being told by somebody who just experienced it. It's his story and he's going to stick with it. We'll now call our evaluators. Wait, serious. No more jokes. Let's get on with the evaluations. Our first evaluator, we will have to swap it because the speeches were also swapped. Our first evaluator will be Winfred. How we do it in Watabaruku, again, we are different. Every evaluator then invites the other evaluator. Winfred, when you come to the floor with your nice, beautiful hair, when I grow up, my hair will be like yours. You invite Nicholas with all his energy. Nicholas then invites Samson. Winfred for content, Nicholas for delivery, Samson for grammar or language. And you had a number of things he was looking out for. Over to you, Winfred.
Standing ovation. Oh, I'm disappearing. Standing ovation. That is what you do when you do your first pitch, which is essentially an icebreaker. Well done, Robert Karanja, for delivering your icebreaker. Did you meet the purpose of your icebreaker today? Yes, I feel like I know you better. At least I know that you love reading books. Did you employ a basic structure? Well done. I saw that you adopted a chronological speech structure. I was able to walk through with you from primary, high school, where you found this book that was coverless, without an ending. You went through campus, adopting different authors who did not really satisfy you. Progressed to graduate. You went to undergraduate, progressed to graduate. Still did not find that author that you were looking for. And later, in Toastmasters, while pursuing your career, you trampled onto this Toastmaster who mentioned that book, and that brought back that emotional recollection of the book you've been searching for 20 years ago. Well done on adopting a basic structure, which is a chronological structure. Number 2, I observed that you had a very clear call to action at the end. You urged us to pursue our passion of the things that make us young. That was so relatable to me and important also for your audience as a takeaway. I also observed through using a personal story, I could share in that emotion of looking for that book and the excitement of finally getting the book 20 years later. Well done on using a personal story. What areas did I identify that you can improve on? I wanted to know a bit more about you. Yes, you love reading books, but this is Robert you're talking about. This is Robert who is on his 7th pathway. This is Robert who is a leader in Toastmasters. How did you come into getting into Toastmasters? How was your journey in all these pathways? That is the little bit I wanted to know much more about you. I also wish you carried that book that you finally hold so dearly, and you'd have shown us and you'd have appreciated, just soaking into that appreciation that you finally found the book that you loved. Beyond this, and in summary, I commend you for having a very good structure, for accomplishing your purpose today, had a very clear call to action and use of a personal story, areas that I wish you'd improve on. I wanted to know much more about you. I'd have also appreciated if you carried it as a prop. Without further ado, back to you, Timothy.
Thank you, Winfred, who did not follow instructions, but we still love you. Over to you, Nicholas. After you speak, kindly invite Samson.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day and Winfred, our first evaluator. I'll avoid being my normal jocular self and give Toastmaster Robert the evaluation that he deserves. Today, I am going to be evaluating the delivery aspect of his speech, which is mainly in 3 areas: the physical, the voice, and the platform style. So if you allow me, those are the areas that I'll be looking out for today. Toastmaster Robert, thank you for reminding us to pursue our passions. I think that was the key theme of the speech, and it was clear throughout. Now, moving on to the things that you excelled in terms of delivery. The first area in terms of physical is the body language and the gestures. I loved your body language throughout the speech. When you told us you loved it, it was clear from your body language and your gestures, and it aligned with everything that you are saying in regards to the content at the time. The second part is you are dressed to impress and inspire. I can say that even from dressing, the point where you turned on your video, we were already inspired. I know I am speaking for some of us like myself and Dr. Kevin Rubia. We were inspired, and that was a good thing that I took note of. The third area that I really enjoyed about your speech was under platform style. This is how you set up your video. Your video was really clear. In terms of camera positioning, we could see your face. It was as if you were next to us. And the lighting, you were clear from beginning to the end. And that was really good, especially looking at the fact that we're in an online meeting. And sometimes people don't get that too clearly. The fourth area that I felt you excelled in was your enthusiasm and assurance. I felt that this was a speech that was coming from deep down your heart because you were talking about something you love, reading, and it was clear even the TMOD mentioned it at one point. And that is something I really noted and appreciated. How can we make this great speech even better? And I'll move to areas where you could have improved. The first one is under the platform style. You had great setup, lighting, and positioning, but I felt there was an area for improvement in the background. I noticed that as you were speaking, your background had the District 114 messaging. For me, I was keen to find out whether that was in alignment with your speech. And you spoke about Toastmasters, but it wasn't as clear or as heavy within your speech. So I felt to an extent your background was a bit distracting in terms of it wasn't clear where Toastmasters or how heavy Toastmasters was in that message. It is good to always have a background, but I recommend having a background that also aligns with your key messaging or whatever you're speaking about. The next area is under voice. And for voice, I noted two areas. The first is your pace. I felt that you spoke too quickly and rushed over a few things. And the other area was tone. Tone mainly looks at the emotion that you evoke. When you told us I came to love, we could see it in your face, but it wasn't as clear in your voice. So tone, you were mainly monotone in your speech, and that could be an area to improve on. All in all, continue with a great body language, dress up, setup, and enthusiasm. Work on the background, pace, and tone. Keep giving wonderful speeches, keep inspiring, and I look forward to hearing your next speech. Next, I'll call upon our evaluator in terms of grammar, and that is none other than Toastmaster Samson. Samson, over to you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas Njubi, for that exuberant introduction. I will move straight into my evaluation as to use of grammar from our speaker. There are a couple of things I was looking out for. I was looking to listen to whether this speech had been written for the ear. And I think the speech was done very well. I noticed that the speaker used short words and did not use long convolvulated or convoluted words. So it was very easy to understand what you were saying. The structure of the speech employed short sentences. So you didn't have this long and winding sentences that could create confusion. And you could clearly tell the ideas as well had been broken into short paragraphs. I also noticed that the speaker employed certain rhetorical devices. For example, the analogy of eating the crust while leaving the center. He had some good use of what we call anaphora. This is what, when you hear somebody using a fast phrase multiple times to express an idea. So he's talking about how he came to love Stephen King, how he came to love Lewis, and how he came to love a third author that I could not pick up. So that's a very effective way of really emphasizing his love for the poetry. Other than that, I think there might have been certain missed opportunities to employ more rhetorical devices. One thing for sure is when I was looking at my list of the common mistakes of English, I was able to feel satisfied that this was a competent speaker who did not fall into the obvious traps of English mistakes. Areas that I would advise for improvement, I think what you want to do is employ more modifiers to be able to really express yourself impactfully. Your speech was mainly on a narrative style, and I think you'll have really benefited from use of vivid words, use of adjectives, use of adverbs. So for example, when we were talking about being in the quiet of the library, you could have talked about being the library being deathly quiet, or the eerie silence of the library. There's a place where you talk about listening to this audio while you drove from Nairobi to Nakuru, and you're talking about an intensity. So I intently listened through it, and when I arrived, I craved for more. So I felt like there's quite a bit of passion, but that was not coming out because of the lack of the usage of vivid language. I'd also ask you to be mindful of your pronunciation. You kept saying audio or audible rather than audio or audible. And there are a few lapses here and there which I'll put in my final written report. Other than that, well-spoken, no obvious grammatical errors. I think you're a commendable speaker. Back to you, Madam TMOD.
Wow, no sugar coating, just candid feedback. We live and learn through feedback. If you don't pick the feedback, it's a choice, and then you won't grow. You will live, but you won't learn. Thank you very much, all our evaluators, for that excellent feedback. Our next team will be led by Nellie. Nellie Ayodo will deliver the content, feedback, and then she will invite Vivienne for delivery, and Vivienne will then invite Samson. Please follow instructions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters of the day. And to you, Maxwell, today we are meeting under jocular circumstances, but your message was very serious. Your biggest positive impact of the speech was your vocal variety. It brought out your personality. Vocal variety is the key to expressiveness. Expressiveness is essential for a speaker. I like that you were very emotional. You had a perfect story structure. It made the audience curious about the development of your story, and it touched me. You used emphatic gestures to enhance your message. You underscored strong emotions, placing your hand on your heart. And this shows you are very convinced you're communicating a powerful message, a message that you strongly believed in. I like that you showed emotional intelligence when you found out that you were tripped by the cane of a blind man. You are not annoyed that your suit was dirty. In fact, you went and you got another one. That is surely emotional intelligence, not letting a situation bring you down. And the fact that you made friends with that person and it ended well, that is very good emotional intelligence. All in all, I liked your vocal variety. I liked the technique you applied. You're sympathetic and you're sensitive. And I liked that you are all ears to your wife. That is sensitivity, being sympathetic. And I like that. What I'd like to challenge you is memorize your quotes. You can actually paraphrase them. You don't have to read word for word. You can paraphrase the quotes. All in all, your speech was very well structured. It was very emotive, and it was appealing to us as the audience. Back to you, Madam Toastmasters.
Go ahead, Vivienne.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I realize Nellie didn't introduce me. But I get we are not used to the Watabaruku style of doing things.
I apologize.
No problem. Maxwell, I'll be evaluating your delivery of your speech. I love how you finished your speech when you said between stimulus and response, there is a space, and you actually showed that space and how the power is to make a response towards that stimulus. I love the effective use of body language all across your speech, the vivid gestures before Kevin, Dr. Rubia kills me. The vivid use of gestures all through your speech, which supported your points and it kept us engaged. I noticed everyone who had their cameras on were nodding their heads and following you all through your introduction towards the middle and even to the end. Particularly, I reacted when you actually tripped and fell, because you tripped and fell towards the camera. So that was quite good use of your body language. And our reaction was like you're literally falling. And also, when you wanted to see the culprit who made you trip and fall, you actually came closer to the camera and were able to really be with you in that moment of your story, to be with you in the streets of Nairobi as you fell. All across, you used your hands very well. You said your mind was in the sky. You gave your wife an ear. You listened with your heart. So, yeah, that was a very good use of body language and gestures. About vocal variety, you used very different inflections and intonations when speaking in first person, and also when speaking in second person. When you're emphasizing a point, you said nanosecond, you're on this side. Another nanosecond, you're on this side. So you're using both your vocal variety and your gestures to emphasize the points, and that kept us all engaged. And what I would suggest you should work on is positioning your camera. We felt like your camera was down here and you're looking down at us. Perhaps if you could have raised it a little bit to your mid section, and then we will be able to see your facial expressions. Well, it was quite difficult to see your facial expressions because your camera was, we were kind of looking at you from this position. So we weren't able to tie in your facial expressions to your body gestures and body language. Then for the voice, your pitch, your tone, when speaking in second person, perhaps you can consider, my recommendation would be to consider changing a little bit of the pitch and tone when speaking in the second person. For example, when the old man asked, "Young man, did I trip you?" Change it from your normal voice to a different voice so that we know now this is somebody else you're talking about in second person. Again, the facial expressions when you apologize profusely, when you mentioned depressed and disgusted, we weren't able to see that. But again, if you had perhaps raised your pitch and tone, we would have. Other than that, that was an absolutely jocular and amazing delivery, Maxwell. Keep speaking and keep listening with your heart. I will now hand over to the grammarian for the grammar evaluation. Samson, over to you.
Thank you very much. Maxwell, congratulations on delivering speech despite the technical challenges you may have heard. With respect to your use of grammar, I noted that the key import of your message was to relay a powerful message about compassion and the ability to be able to relate with other people. And you are seeking to employ emotion and strong emotions for the purposes of conveying. That was the conveying belt that we're using for purposes of passing on your message. One of the things I really noticed and I think was very effective is how you are articulating yourself and the style and diction that you chose. Because of the nature of the speech, you employed this sort of contradistinction. You'd be speaking of one mood, probably a happy and peaceful one, on the other side, an angry and expressive one. And so you took more of a staccato pitch and tone and articulation style as opposed to a cadence. And I thought that was very effective for the purposes of relaying your message. Just going to some of the rhetorical devices that I thought you employed very well and that applied very well for a sort of speech that you had. There was a powerful use of triads. I found, I can mention 3 right now, but it was replete. Your speech was replete with this. Talked of calm, cool, and collected, depressed, repressed, and disgusted, peaceful, excited, and elated. But even more importantly, you are not just using these triads in isolation, but you are juxtaposing them to create a conflict, which was a key major aspect of your message. So you're talking about 1 minute, you're calm, cool, and collected. Then in the next moment, you're depressed, repressed, and disgusted. I like that juxtaposition or contradistinction that you had. Very vivid use of language. I think you had very good use of of adjectives and adverbs, and I'll probably be reporting that in my next report as Grammarian. Very good use of onomatopoeia. When you talked about how you fell, it was dramatic. You talked about the thud and the splash. And really something that I really enjoyed as a grammar wonk was your order of adjectives. We're always told how to arrange our adjectives in terms of quantity, size, age, color, for that full effectiveness. So when you talk about this 6 foot tall, bulky, gray-haired person in a brown suit, perfect in terms of arrangement of grammar. Places that I'd want you to improve and be mindful of is your use of tenses. I notice you are mixing up the use of the past participle and the present participle, and we'll get into that. And again, try and be a bit more vivid. When you're talking about waking up at 5:30 in the morning, this is a very dramatic speech. So I think it'll have been useful to talk about waking up at the crack of dawn, right? Because for some people, 5:30 might not be that early, but I think you're trying to relay the earliness of that time. So just try and find those vivid words that really specify and go to the heart of the emotion you're seeking to evoke. All in all, a powerful speech that was accompanied by the appropriate rhetorical devices and grammar. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
I always feel like these two words, anaphora and onomatopoeia, they sound like bacteria strain. Do they exist in biology, Kevin Rubia?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I think it should be in your PhD, you'll find them. Thank you. Please vote for your favorite evaluator, including yourself. Don't be shy. If you don't celebrate you, I have no business celebrating you if you do not celebrate yourself. And as we do that, I will call on the grammarian to come back and talk to us about those bacteria strains and other good things that he heard today overall from the meeting. Over to you, Samson.
Right. I was trying to vote and I don't know that my thing was hanging. I kind of missed what you just said. Do you mind repeating?
If you could give us a feedback for how we have used the King's language today, many areas of improvement are most welcome because that is how we grow. Over to you.
This is so fast. This is a really new experience. I want to come back again in this grammarian role because this has tested my skills. I have papers all over the place as I'm trying to remember who said what in what category. So this might be a bit haphazard. I promise to give a fuller report. I'll jump straight to the easier one while I figure out how the rest looks. And that was the use of the word of the day. I was really impressed, despite the fact that it's not a common word. People actually use it appropriately. Anthony used it twice. Kevin used it 3 times. Maggie, you used it once. Our evaluator, Winfred, used it as well. Maxwell used it in his speech. Njubi, I didn't get the first name, used it as well. And Nellie and Ayodo snatched it just at the right hand there and used it as well. With regards to the phrase of the day, that was only used by Anthony and Maggie. I apologize, I'd intended to show the card whenever people speak so as to remind them, but commendable. Anthony takes the cake for me right there. He really combined the word of the day and the phrase of the day quite masterfully, attesting to his status as a distinguished Toastmaster. Areas that we could improve in terms of grammar, I had highlighted 5 areas that I'll be scoring against. And I'm pleased to say that this is, or rather to note that this is truly an advanced club. I was not able to identify any particular error within those 5 common mistakes that you find in English, which, as I said, is an attestment. However, there are a couple of areas that fall outside that, and I'll just want to highlight them. Number 1 is aspects about pronunciation. I might not have highlighted this, but as a premier club, and I'll come back to that word, we need to be mindful because as our grammar gets better, as we work out our tenses and prepositions and the like, the next step is now our diction, our articulation, our pronunciation. So as I mentioned, it's not audio, it's audio. Sorry, our counter will get me on that. There's a speaker who talked about the premier. It's actually the premier club. There's an error. I guess this falls within when to use a verb and when to use a noun. It's not a joking session. She should have said, it's not a joke session. It's a noun. I see you know where that came from. Be aware who is your audience. Be aware who your audience is. is the object. The object will normally come at the end as opposed to in the middle. So that's subject-verb order. Something else when we're speaking, let's try and be as specific enough when we're describing something. So our speaker talked about your humor should be just enough. That is vague, right? What does just enough mean? That could vary. So perhaps you'll have said you should have just a pinch of humor. I think that's what you're just trying to relate. You should just sprinkle your speech with humor. So that gives us a bit of a measure and brings some specificity to the expression you're trying to relay. Now this comes to pronunciation. Let me go back and I'll leave this hanging and come back to it. Is it schedule or is it schedule? Is it an issue of American language or British language? Or is it schedule that's a different thing in terms of a physical calendar versus schedule, which is an action in terms of slotting it into something? Food for thought. Let's wait for my report. Finally, there's this transition that we use when we're creating order. And we tend to say number one, then you say what it is, number two, what it is. That is mathematical. For the purposes of English, I'd want to encourage us to speak of firstly, secondly, and thirdly. I'll leave the rest for my report. As to the good use of language, I noted in the business section that there was quite a bit of good use of language by our host. I don't know if it's the president, but the presiding officer. Regrettably, I was driving then. I was not able to note this down. And so I'll try and go back to the recording and pitch this. But I was able to pick up very good use of adjectives. For example, when he talked about giving a thunderous applause. And that just gave the right measure that he required out of us. I don't know if people did it that way, but that was good. He also talked about enumerating the goals. Anthony also talked about enumerating the aspects of the roles and what they entail. I think there's a good aspect of rhyme and vocabulary. Our speakers were the ones who are most outstanding. And let me just pick two more aspects that I really found useful. We've already talked about the use of the anaphora, where just like Martin Luther King, to be able to give effect and memory, I have a dream. Both speakers were able to employ anaphora. One other aspect that was used very well was the antiploses. And antiploses is when you repeat a prominent word within two sections of a statement. I wonder if you'll be able to pick this. Man is not a creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creation of man. That's what an antiplus. So circumstance was a key aspect he was using, and that wordplay was very effective in terms of relating what he wanted to say. Maxwell also talked about a stupendous quote. He summed up profoundly what he wanted to say. He talked about a person who's adroit in his field, which means a person who's skillful and clever. Those are very good use of vivid language by Maxwell as well, which I will highlight, but I think that turned into emotion. So for example, after he had been tripped, he talked about how he stood and whirled. He just didn't turn, he whirled like a firestorm, and that already precipitates or anticipates that there was a storm that was coming to fight. Luckily, the man was blind and he was saved the savagery of Max's anger. All in all, I will say this, in as much as there were missed opportunities to employ a lot of rhetorical devices like alliteration, metaphors, and similes, at least at the very fundamental or rudimentary level, we can say that we do not fall under the traps of common mistakes in English. So congratulations to all our speakers today. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Well, I don't know which language to use right now. After that evaluation and having been spotlighted, thank you very much for that fantastic feedback. We highly appreciate it. The only thing I would recommend, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure you agree with me, we should not give cake to Anthony. Right? No cake to Anthony. All right. The next role taker is Laison. Laiser, you have to tell us about your name as you tell us how we did on time. We're not doing very well. I will not point out who it is who's got us here. I am the host. It is me. Over to you, Laison.
Thank you, Madam Tiamodi. It's with great honor that I present to you our timing reports. I would like to commend every role taker that has participated in the different segments of the meeting. So starting off with our first session where we had the speakers, This evening we had two speakers where we had DTM Robert delivering his speech for 4 to 6 minutes, and he used 6 minutes. It was on time, and we had our second speaker, Toastmaster Maxwell, using 7 minutes and 48 seconds, which was 18 seconds above time. Then we had our evaluators. We had the first and second evaluator, Toastmaster Nellie and Vivienne, delivering the evaluations on time. Then we had Toastmaster Samson a bit beyond time by 6 seconds. Then we had the second evaluations by our first and second evaluator being on time. On the second evaluation, the first evaluator was on time, and the second and third evaluator was slightly beyond time. In regards to the table topic session, the table topic session allocated time was 10 minutes, 5 minutes and 13 seconds. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the timing usage of our grammarian. However, these are the timing reports. These are the timing reports for this evening. Back to you, Madam Kimbio.
Thank you. And while we still have you spotlighted, tell us about your name in 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. Laison Laiser. Well, my name actually came through down the roots of a pastor, a reverend who actually supported my parents to sort of tie the knot. And I think they were quite moved or had some really deep roots with him. They're like, okay, you know what? You gave us this blessing, might as well name our firstborn, as a sign to remember the blessing that you blessed towards our unification.
Wow, that is deep. Thanks very much. I love it. Thank you for your report. Very succinct and very detailed. I'm also curious, and Samson can tell us this in the chat, if he does offer lessons for grammar for children in school. My children, if they get C's, they only know English, but they don't do very well. I need you as their tutor. I'm serious, Nitalipa. Our general evaluator is Anthony. Anthony.
Hi, Toastmaster of the day, Mohaki. Good evening again, and thank you for this opportunity to give feedback in a meeting that has been a spectacular, not in any sense jocular, as this one has been. A number of aspects to point out, and I'm going to do this in a different way. I'm going to present this report in a different way. Normally, we sort of go through the program and highlight aspects of what every person has done, but I'm going to do something different. In my introduction, I said I'll be looking out for examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance. And I'll use that as my basis for giving the report. So let me just pull up the program so that I can quickly do that. I only have 4 minutes according to Laiser. Now, from the program, let me start with the Toastmaster, with the president. The president was very organized, very prepared. I must say that I was very pleased to see the professional way that he ran the business section of the day. He delivered it with exceptional calmness and just enough enthusiasm to set the tone for the day. I think I will give him 8 out of 10. The Toastmaster of the day, as always, is I get to meet Maggie in many meetings because we're both members of Mtandao. And I must say that, as always, she's bubbly, full of energy, and she demonstrated that she was really well prepared for this meeting. When we had a hitch several times throughout the meeting, she was able to interject with content that she had prepared for this meeting. So that shows that she was really well prepared. She was really organized. She knew exactly what to do at the right moment. And she was very calm and, despite herself, quite funny in her delivery of the role. I must say that she's full of energy. Her enthusiasm has kept us gripped to this meeting. And she performed her role to a very high level. Let's move on to the role takers. We had the timer and the grammarian. The timer, I would say, was very professional, did what needed to be done. I must commend his final report that shows that he introduced variety to the role. So I would give him 10 out of 10 in terms of delivery there. A grammarian today has outdone himself. Samson really has taken this role to another level. He had really worked hard on researching on what to present today. He has done a lot of work in terms of what each role taker can improve. And I would like to say, Samson, this is the kind of input that an advanced club like Watabaruku really appreciates, and well done. So I would say for preparation, for delivery, for organizing, for enthusiasm, I'll give you 10 out of 10. Let me go on to the speakers and the evaluators. I think the speakers today demonstrated that the fact that they came to do business, both Max and Robert gave us speeches that showed a lot of work in terms of preparation, in terms of practice, and in terms of delivery. Those are areas that I think show that you were ready to give us a proper show. The evaluators also gave some excellent feedback. I was very pleased to listen to both Nellie and Winnie as they talked about the content and pointed out the key points of the speeches. The one thing I would like to remind the evaluators is that this is a speaking club. We need to be able to be delivering a speech, not necessarily a report, not something that is an enumeration of the facts, but a performance. So each time you have a role as an evaluator, be a speaker, be dramatic, give the facts as they are. I really enjoyed the other evaluators that were called upon. I think we had Nicholas, who gave feedback on the body language on the first speech, and then we had Vivienne for the second speech. Absolutely got the content right, but let me just say, let's remember we are performing. We're learning how to give feedback as a speaker, even though it's as a role taker. Finally, let me say that I have really enjoyed this meeting. It has lived up to the aspirations of being an advanced club. I really missed the aspect of having a jokes master. It's a role that has been there in the past, and I was looking forward to seeing how that will be delivered today. And the table topics master, a very warm Tigist, started off the session with your own humorous story, and then your questions really were in line with the theme of the day. I know I'm running out of time now, so I would like to hand back the meeting to the Toastmaster of the day and just congratulate everybody for the fantastic work that you've done in this meeting. Maggy Waithiru.
Well done, Anthony. Fantastic report and overview on areas we have done well, areas that we can improve. One thing I would also recommend for the team is to let the grammarian who does this role in Watabaruku Toastmasters to know that they are also the R counters. Otherwise, we become a little bit relaxed and use all the R's that we have learned as we have grown. I can't leave you without laughter. Sindio, right? Let's do this. Every time when I'm having moments where I'm not feeling, when I'm feeling Mercury is really bothering my life, I like this video. Okay, ready for this? points. I have to stop. I'm sorry. We needed that to end the meeting. If you have not laughed, Mercury retrograde is right above your head. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Maggy Waithiru, for what an amazing meeting that we've just had. I think that was 2 hours of time well spent. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to switch on your microphones and join me in a strong round of applause to celebrate what an amazing Toastmaster of the evening we've had this evening. Wow. Thank you so much, Maggy. Thank you for giving us an amazing jocular meeting. A few things that I took away from today's meeting. One of them is that it is important to learn small talk. You never want to discuss Bitcoin while stuck in the rain. Wow. Another nugget that was passed on to not only Samson, but to each and every one of us here is that you need to sharpen your sense of humor because you never know what your retirement plan shall be. So thank you very much, Maggy. Thank you to all the role takers for joining our meeting today and giving us the very best in your particular roles. We look forward to having you over and over at Watabaruku Toastmasters Club, where we grow beyond the basics. At this point, I'll invite the Sergeant at Arms to share with us the results of the polls. Sergeant at Arms, are the polls ready?
Yes, they are. I won't project because of time. Let's just clap. Yay! The best table topic speaker is myself. Thank you. The best evaluator went over time and therefore goes to Winfred Kinyua. Let's keep time. And last and not least, the best speaker was Robert Karanja DTM. Congratulations and back to you.
Thank you very much, our Sergeant at Arms, and congratulations to all of the better speakers and the better evaluators in our evening's meeting. So without wasting any more time, we are a little bit over time. I'll ask for 10 minutes of your time, an additional 10 minutes. And it's very important because the next exercise that we are about to undertake is the whole reason why today I am in a suit and a tie. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor of welcoming new members to Watabaruku Toastmasters Club. And the two new members are Sarah Wanjiko from Kenya and Tigist Hailu all the way from Ethiopia. Sergeant at Arms, allow me to invite you to drop the script to the chat box, the induction script, so that anyone who may wish to follow on their own may follow on their own, while I will attempt to project the same induction script on my screen. Sergeant at Arms, can you confirm that my screen is visible to you and possibly to every member who is in tonight's meeting?
Affirmative.
Thank you very much. Fellow Toastmasters, it is now our duty and privilege to induct Sarah Wanjiko and Tigist Hailu, new members into the Watabaruku Toastmasters Club. This is an important occasion. This is an important occasion both for these new members and for our club. These individuals have come to Toastmasters seeking to improve their communication and leadership, and we have an opportunity to help them learn, grow, and achieve. I will now call upon our new members forward and ask them to join me in the virtual podium. Please withhold your applause until the ceremony is completed. Sarah Wanjiko and Tigist Hailu, you are joining a worldwide organization that has helped more than 4 million people learn to communicate more effectively. As members of the Watabaruku Advanced Bilingual Toastmasters Club, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development. You'll become part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in a spirit of enjoyment. Mr. Vice President for Education, Have these new members been given an opportunity to discuss their needs and goals with the club? Have they been told how Toastmasters program works and informed of the many benefits they will receive as well as obligations of membership? Vice President for Education.
They do understand, yes.
Thank you. Who have been assigned as mentors for these new members?
For Tigist, Maggy Waithiru has been assigned, and for Sarah Njiku, Kevin Rubia.
Thank you very much, Vice President for Education. Would these Toastmasters please join the virtual podium? As experienced Toastmasters, you have been asked to help these new members to get off to a good start. Do you accept this responsibility and pledge to share your knowledge and experience with our new members so that they can immediately begin to benefit from the Toastmasters, from their Toastmasters membership?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Membership in this club and in Toastmasters International is a privilege that carries with it many rewards. Yet it also places certain obligations upon you. We are a group of people brought together to do things we could not accomplish alone. Our collective obligation is to grow and improve ourselves and to share our knowledge and experience with fellow members in a spirit of enjoyment. This means you must work diligently towards your own self-development, evaluate others' speeches in a spirit of support and sharing, assist the club in reaching its own goals, remain positive, and keep a smile on your face. We ask our new members to dedicate yourselves to personal growth, to share this gift with your fellow members, and to help keep this Toastmasters club strong and dynamic. So, to our inductees, I will invite you to read this in unison. Please face your fellow members and affirm your membership by repeating the following words as projected.
I, Njiku, in the presence of my fellow members of the Watabaruku Toastmasters Club, Advanced Toastmasters Club, make this firm obligation to attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for each assignment, to apply myself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters.
Thank you for that. Would all club members please stand and repeat your club's pledge to its new members? I'll invite members of Watabaruku Toastmasters to read this with me in unison. We, the members of the Watabaruku Toastmasters Club, pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and to make your Toastmasters membership rewarding and a fulfilling experience. Receive your virtual pins, membership pins, and definitely we will be sending your membership certificates. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in giving a thunderous applause to welcome our new members to our club, Tigist, Hailu, and Sarah Wanjiko. Congratulations.
Congratulations, welcome. Jocular.
That is a big step, and definitely at Watabaruku Toastmasters Club, we will help you to grow beyond the basics by challenging you each and every day to better yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, allow me just to sample two feedback responses from the guests who have joined our meeting this evening, just to find out how they found our meeting was. Feedback is indeed the breakfast of champions, and we would like to have a little bit of feedback from our guests. And in random order, I will pick Anjeru of Simba Toastmasters just to give us a little bit of feedback on how you found our meeting this evening. Anjeru, over to you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm delighted to be here today. And when I join Watabaruku, when I know my journey to Toastmasters has not even taken off. I will endeavor to join more of your meetings so that I can be able to gain value on this journey of Toastmasters. It is usually a pleasure being here. And I know in future I may be able to deliver those nice, well-structured speeches on this platform. Thank you so much for having me. Nice evening to everyone.
Thank you, Anjeru, for joining us this evening. And it is only at Watabaruku where you learn that anaphora and onomatopoeia might actually be bacteria strains. But we will wait for Kevin Rubia to finish his postdoctoral thesis. Probably we will understand much better on that. Anna Mushi, allow me to invite you to unmute yourself and give us a little bit of feedback on how you found our meeting this evening.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Mushi from Dar es Salaam. I would like first to thank Maggie for inviting me to this session as a listener or observer while I explore my journey towards joining Toastmasters. I must say the group is very advanced, and I look forward to sharpening my public speaking skills. I will probably start with a beginner group, and eventually, and I want to promise you, I will join this group.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna Mushi, for your words of commendation. Thank you. And we really look forward to having you as a member of Watabaruku. All the best as you start your Toastmasters journey. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our meeting. Our next meeting will be on the 4th of April, 2025, and we look forward to having each and every one of you joining us once again and making that meeting very successful. At this point, I'd like to call to an end meeting number 112. Good night, everyone.